the preamp off, and of course that brought everything down. I can still hear you hear S9, and my noise floor is about a 6 now. But yeah, you're very, very readable. Using the stock microphone or something else?
I'm running with the microphone come with it. Yes, correct. And you're fishing about a 5/9 right now.
Okay, yeah, good to hear. Good to hear. Well, I'm running quite a bit of compression, and trying to be about as loud as I can be. So 100 watts and just about as much compression as I can run without sounding distorted.
Well, I'm running about 90 watts right now, and got my mic gain at 50 where it's factory set, and compression and everything's pretty much, right down the middle. So that's where I'm at.
Well, good to talk to you there, Keith, and I'm going to step away from the radio just for a second and chat with my wife here, but hopefully hear you on 40 again sometimes. I try to get on a little bit in the evening if I have a few minutes, so maybe we'll catch you again there in the great state of North Carolina. Best barbecue anywhere. Miss the barbecue.
Well, I do appreciate that. We definitely love our barbecue, especially down east. Well, I'm not Easterner, I'm a Westerner. Come back again with your call signs. K4EGL, Kilo 4 Echo Golf Lima.
Yeah, QSL, K4 Eagle, like the bird. K4EGL. It's actually my kid's initials, but it just happens to spell eagle.
That's pretty good. Cool. I'm going to throw you down my logbook. I do appreciate the QSO. We'll be back with you sometime, hopefully, 7-3.
Okay, thanks so much. Thanks for the contact. From Kilo, Quebec 4, Foxtrot, Zulu, Foxtrot. This is Kilo 4 Echo Golf Lima, 7-3. K4EGL going QRT for a bit.
Angeles tomorrow, WA6LJS. No, I'm sorry. Tomorrow's Wednesday. It's W2WLD. Bill in Scotia, New York. See if you can check in on 1429 We'd love to have you. This KM4CAX back to KC8BRT. Over.
Some setups, but I didn't really, they didn't really manage to figure out everything. Okay, so that radio theoretically should be working fine. I have it since maybe like probably six months by now, so it is a little bit of time, maybe not long enough, but long enough to, I guess, to have it set up properly. So this is FTTX 101D right now. So please let me know if you definitely will hear the difference. I'm just curious if it's for better or for worse. 70 icon 70 at 7300 is actually very, very nice radio. My member of family purchased it some time ago, and I think he just made his actually included of making his license. He just passed the exam, so I think he'll be happy. My quick question, WA-DCS, please go to that.
Yeah, 5 minutes, and your signal's got the same amp-meter strength, so you're peaking up towards 20 dB over S9, but the audio was a little richer that time. There's a bit more.
Hello, I'm all right. Exactamente la piedra que tú hiciste, que le pusiste un cosa de nylon de pescar para subir las 4 pies de la antena.
I've got a 40-meter dipole in addition to this antenna. That's up about 50 feet. But during the daytime, I use the 40-meter dipole at 50 feet. It's much better for short skip conditions. But in the evenings, I use this antenna, which I also use on 160 and 80. That works great for me, so we're happy with it. We're retired here. I got retired about a year and a half ago, and I was first licensed back in 1974. Okay, Don, back to you. K4ENE from WC1X.
WC1X, K4ENE. I'm sorry, Mark. I had your call sign written down wrong. But from an angle, the X looked like a K. I'm sorry. I got it right. I had it right. I just said it wrong. I love to play with antennas. I've been a ham since 1959, and there's always some facet of ham radio that people get into. This or the thing they love to do the most. And, you know, it can be anything from fox hunts to, everything. But mine has always been antennas, and of course it's endless. You can keep trying everything. So I enjoy putting up this and trying it, putting up that and trying it. Of course, like on this band, if we're wanting to work DX, I mean, I can talk to Australia with this antenna, but if you really want to get in there, put up a 3 on the 40-meter beam at 75 or 70 feet, and you're always there. WC1X, K4ENE.
Okay, fine, Don. Yeah, very good. Well, we lived in different places throughout our working life, and I was always managed to get an antenna up. For some years when I was young, I lived in an apartment, and I was always able to string out a thin long wire out my apartment window to some tree or a light standard over a parking lot, something like that, and be able to listen and make a few contacts. I lived overseas in Israel for a while, and there I had a 3-element beam on top of my roof for 2015 antenna, and that worked great. We hope to put up some directional antennas here this summer, but a higher band, so we're looking forward to that. And I've been active all those years since 1974. I think about for 1 year I wasn't on the air, but that's when I was going to school. But anyway, enjoyed the hobby quite a bit. We do some CW and AM with some old Johnson Viking equipment. I got a 7584 here and a AR88. And they're set up and they work great. So there you go. Okay, Don, back to you from WC1X.
K4ENE. So you do work occasionally?
Yeah, I've got AM gear set up here. I got a Johnson Valiant, and that's paired up with an RCA AR88. And I also have another AM station, a Johnson Ranger, and that's paired up with a 7584. And I also picked up a small Gates broadcast transmitter that I'm going to set up for 160 this coming fall. So yeah, we got some AM gear. Over.
Wow. I haven't done AM for years. Well, I guess I switched to monitor transceiver to AM every once in a while, but not very often. Of course, back when I was first licensed, AM was the only way to go, that for a number of years, and sidebands started getting more and more popular. And so after I graduated from college and went in the Air Force, I bought a Heathkit Marauder and put it together, and that was my first attempt at sideband, and worked out quite well. And that was in 1965, I guess, is when first time I was on sideband. Go ahead.
Yeah, very good. I never had a Marauder, but I guess I saw a lot of those Marauder kids. I think my first sideband rig was a Hallicrafters FPM 300. That transceiver is a hybrid. I think they made those in the 70s. Not a very good radio, but that's my first entry into sideband. In the first 2 years I was licensed, I just ran CW. I went from novice to general in about a year, and then the first years of general I still ran CW because I couldn't afford sideband gear. But it's been fun. I built a few amplifiers too. I still have one, a single band 160 meter amp, but a single 3-500, and I use that on 160 from time to time, and it still works great. But I don't think I'll be building up any more stuff anymore. I'm busy in retirement, so we've got other things to do, but certainly still spend more time on ham radio now since I'm retired. Okay, Don, back to you. K4ENE from WC1X.
WC1X, K4ENE. Yeah, I built, when I was in the Air Force, I was a communications officer, and the regulations at the time said if there's a communications officer on base that has their ham license, they will be the base Mars director. And so I was the base Mars director, and I was a Mars member also, so I could check out stuff to myself. And I built a 4-400A, a pair of those amplifier, and I wish I still had to this day. I had lost interest for just a little while and sold the thing, and I wish I still had it. Back to you.
Whiskey 1, Victor Oscar.
Okay, W1VO. Recognized, but yeah, very good, Don. Fine on that 400 amp. Years ago I had a BC610 that ran a pair of 100 THs modulating a 250 TH BC610 transmitter. I don't have that now. Wish I still had it, but pretty heavy rig, about 400 pounds. Anyway, over to W1VO. Go ahead. This is WC1X.
WC1X, W1 Victor Oscar. Very good evening, Mark. I just been reading the mail. I went to bed early tonight and woke up, so I come out to the shack here. My name is Ron Radio, Ontario, November. I'm in just outside of Warner Robins in Centerville. I call it Centerville. And of course, right in the middle of the state of Georgia. And just, like I said, reading the mail, and I've been licensed since '59 myself. I've spent a lot of time in the military, and I can relate to the other fellow there, K4A&E, Dan, I think it is. I have a problem with my eyesight, and doing the best I can, I guess we'll call it that. Running an old Femtech Orion 2, driving an even older, I think, Alpha 87. Antenna's temporary, it's an inverted V about 50 feet. I do have a 2-element Shorty 40 waiting to go up, but I haven't finished getting the tower up yet. 1940, so you know I can't move around that quick anymore. WC1X, Mark, Whiskey 1 Victor Oscar, Ron here in Georgia.
Okay, Ron, good copy. You're about 10 dB over S9. Yeah, I ran a Orion 2 for about 5 or 6 years. Very nice rig. Too bad they didn't expand on that and made something bigger and better, but I guess that was their last flagship radio. But it's a great rig, never gave me any problems, and I liked it quite a bit. And I used to be in the Coast Guard for about 8 years. I was a reservist, and I was a radio man, and I worked at the U.S. Coast Guard Communications Station in Marshfield, Massachusetts, which has been decommissioned for many years now, but I used to work there and do weekend drills there, and it's pretty interesting. Anyway, over to you, Don. K4ENE to get it from WC1X. Go ahead.
WC1X, W1VO, K4ENE. Well, nice to meet you, Ron. My name is Don, Delta, Oscar, November, and I'm in Western Kentucky. And we've been talking about older rigs we used to have. I guess my first one, when I was a novice, was a Heathkit AT1 that somebody else had built, and I bought it from them. And a BC348. Ever heard of that one, Ron? W1VO in the group, K4ENE.
Oh, I know what that is, yeah, but a long time ago, Whiskey 1 Victor Oscar here. I had a GX60, and I did get a VFO after I never had a general license. I had a conditional license. I was stationed in Key West when I upgraded. Got the novice license just before I went in the Navy. And I had a half square, I guess they call it. A demi quad, just a single element thing that worked on 40 and 15, I think it was. And long time ago. I only been here about 2.5 years. We came up from Florida. I had 5 acres in Florida, and I ran a big 4-square at 75. Best antenna I ever had. That's for sure. And of course now I'm on about a quarter acre, so those days are over. I do have, like I said, I got a Cushcraft Tri-Vander ready to go up in the that small 40-meter 2-element antenna, which we have never put together before. But I don't think that's going to be a big problem. Won't be in here very long. Just come in to have a cigarette, and I don't smoke in the house. My ham shack here is an outbuilding. It's a small garage, a single-car garage. The original owner was a race car engine builder, NASCAR type engines, and when he had this house, he bought the house and then had this separate building put up, well insulated. Like I said, a single car garage, and I have a couple walls that I put up to make the ham shack here, so it wouldn't get sawdust from the woodworking shop that I have. Great to hear you. Of course, it brings back quite a few memories. K4ENE, and I'm trying to read my writing, but I have Mackley Generation, and Don, W1 Victor Oscar, go ahead.
Yeah, Ron, W1VO in the group, K4ENE. Well, sound like you got a nice ham radio set up out there in that garage. It beats being in the house, I'll put it that way. Especially if you're married, you can't interfere with other things that the wife is doing. So if you're in another building, it helps. I was wondering, when did you get your license, and
CW for a little while, and then living on the ship, I didn't do anything for a couple of years. Then I got relicensed as WA4 Sugar Whiskey Mike when I was in Key West, and I was quite active there for quite some time. That's back in the days when every 5 years they had to renew your license, and I think you had to submit part of the last 6 months of your log or something like that, and my license lapsed. And when I retired from the Navy, I was KV1KO. I sat for, and then we take the novice test, the tech test, and the general test, and I sat there for that. No, I took the extra test because I got an advanced license right off the bat at that time. And I guess it was 3 years later we upgraded. I've had this call well over 30 years, I guess now. But it's I earned my living all my life based on my hobby because got all electronic training in the Navy and worked for MIT. Matter of fact, up in Massachusetts at a radar site, and I learned all about radars. I had never worked on anything except a Ragchew On Pathfinder before that. A small boat the Navy had in Key West had the Pathfinder I made by Ragchew On. But I just flunked out. I guess I just hit the right things and came out of retirement, went to work for the city of Manchester, New Hampshire, for the fire department to repair Motorola UHF radios, 450 megahertz or so. I forgot the exact frequencies. But I was the only guy that had there to work on those, and I did need a future, and they were switching over to a cell phone type radio system. And all they did is replace the whole cover when it broke. If they couldn't fix it, they had to send it to the factory. So I was still repairing stuff all the way down to the individual transistor or shorted cab or whatever it was. But it's been great, and the hobby has earned me a living all my life. K4ENE, W1 Victor Oscar.
Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, very good. I worked as an engineer for about 15 years and then went into program management, all defense systems. Worked for the Fed for 37 years and retired recently, and worked on a lot of different systems. So it was fun and pretty interesting. Spent some time overseas too, so it was all good. Anyway, Don and Ron, I think I'm going to check around the band, see what else is cooking, but nice to meet you both. And have a great day tomorrow. I'm retired, so every day's a great day. Okay, back to you. I guess it goes to Don, K4ENE. With WV10. This is WC1X listening out.
Yeah, Mark, WC1X is a group, K4ENE. Well, after I got out of the Air Force, I just stayed about 4.5, 5 years in active duty. I didn't stay in the reserves, but I went to work for ffmpeg, and I was in the magnetic tape division, so we made tape for audio, computer tape, instrumentation tape, videotape, you name it. And I did that for about 12 years and stayed in the tape industry and wound up with my own company before I retired making VHS video cassettes. And after about 10 years of that, I quit and retired. Over to you, Ron, and I think I'm hanging up too. I'm sitting here getting sleepy. W1VO. It's M3 to you, Mark. K4ENE.
Yeah, K4ENE, W1 Victor Oscar. The call here is W1VO. I've had it for about 35 years, I think. lose dementia as you get older. Those are things you can catch, I guess. And it's difficult for me to use that radio because every button does multiple things. So we have our backup here, the old Orion 2 that I've had about, I don't know, 15 or 16 years. The Flex is on the bench, and we get the permanent antenna up. I'll slowly learn how to use that thing. I have a Flex 5000 that I've used in the past, and I know how great a receiver that is without having a mixer on the front end. But pleasure meeting you, both gentlemen, and I'll be here until I'm a silent key. I don't think I'll ever move again. K40ENE 73. Love, just a great pleasure for me to meet both of you. W1 Victor Oscar, Ron here in Centerville.
Yeah, Ron, W1VO, K4ENE. Well, I'm 81. I'll be 82 in September. And I was licensed in January of 1959. I took the test around Halloween of 58. But the FCC took their time, and I didn't get my license until about the 3rd of January or 4th of January of 1959. And been active ever since, and kept this call sign the whole time. And have enjoyed that radio all my life. It's a part of me. Everybody in my family knows K40ENE. Kids, grandkids, everybody. I'm so active they all know the call sign. But now one of them are interested. And wish they were, but they're not. Just Grandpa's thing, I guess. 7:30 to you, Ron. I think I will go on and hit the W1VO K4ENE. Very nice to meet you.
Okay, very good morning to you. I think it's past midnight, maybe not. I have a hard time reading my wristwatch. I have to buy one that's going to light up or something like that. Well, you beat me. I didn't get licensed until the summer of 59. So, my kudos to you, put it that way. But like you and myself, the hobby led us to a place where we could earn a living. I never minded going to work on a Monday morning. Just a great time. The Navy was wonderful. I lived in Scotland for a couple of years working on the submarines, and just had a wonderful working life. Well, say 73, my pleasure meeting y'all, and hopefully we can catch you again sometime. K40ENE with WC1XS signing, Whiskey 1 Victor Oscar. Very good morning, or if it's that late, I'm not sure.
W1VO K4ENE. Okay, Ron. Well, good night. And I guess you're going back to bed too. I'll say it again. Very nice to meet you. We've been around a long time, and I hope I am radio some the day I die. 7-3 to you. W1VO K4ENE.
Good night.